All right, welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever looked at a new limited edition gadget and wondered, is this actually special or is it just a lazy cash grab? Well, today we are going to find out. We're going to break down what separates the true collectibles from the forgettable flops, using some of the coolest and rarest tech out there as our guide.
I mean, that's the big question, right? It's something that gets collectors and big time fans all twisted up. Is this new shiny thing going to be a classic that you treasure forever? Or is it literally just a new color? Let's dive in.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to climb a sort of ladder of quality. We're going to start at the very bottom with the absolute worst offenders and work our way all the way up to the S tier, the absolute masterclass examples of how to do this right. Okay, so here's the game plan for today. We'll start with why we're even drawn to these things. Then we'll look at the fails, the almost, the hits, and finally, the absolute legends. By the end, we'll know exactly what makes a classic. So, first up, let's talk about the lore of the limited edition. What is it about that phrase that gets us so excited? It's all about that promise of rarity. But that's also where the battle begins between a truly thoughtful design and, just a quick buck. And that brings us right down to the bottom rung of the ladder, the fails. We're talking about products where limited means, well, not much at all. This is skin-deep tech, and it's going to set the baseline for what you should never, ever do.
And you start to see a pretty depressing pattern down here in the C tier, don't you? It's usually just a lazy color swap, some really basic software with a logo, or in the worst cases, software that is actively, aggressively bad. It all feels so surface level.
A perfect example? The Harry Potter phone. Its biggest sin, by far, was the software. You see, the lock screen forced you into this photo carousel that was just packed with ads. It was so bad that fans started calling it, well, you see it right there, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Ouch.
And it wasn't just the ads. It was a total failure in every way. The special charging animation was laggy, the custom case they gave you just made the phone look kind of dirty, and that wand stylus, completely top-heavy and useless. Every single detail that was supposed to delight a fan just ended up being a massive frustration.
Okay, let's move up a step. Now we're in the land of the almosts. This is where you can see the glimmer of a really great idea, but the execution just wasn't there to back it up. So close, yet so far. Case in point, the Darth Vader phone. I mean, look at this. The unboxing experience was absolutely incredible. The whole thing was designed to look like the inside of the Death Star. The attention to detail was just a masterpiece. You're thinking, this is going to be amazing. But then you turn the phone on, and it is a total disaster. You get this wallpaper carousel filled with these generic, almost AI-looking scenes that have nothing to do with anything. The magic just evaporates. Yep, that pretty much sums up the feeling. The software completely betrayed the promise of that amazing packaging. It's a huge letdown. But it had one redeeming secret. The Darth Vader mask on the back wasn't just a flat picture. It had this amazing 3D quality. If you looked at it from one angle, it glowed Sith red, but from another, it glowed Jedi blue. It was this brilliant little nod to Vader's inner conflict. And honestly, it's the one thing that just barely saved this phone from being a total failure.
All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. Welcome to the hits. These are the A-tier products, and they succeed for one simple reason. They actually understand their audience. They get the fans.
And what's so telling is the sheer difference in effort. Look at this. On one side, you've got your generic phone with a logo slapped on. But then you look at something like the Aston Martin phone. It's not just a logo, it's a whole theme. They created custom icons with textures of green leather, gray metal, and carbon fiber. It's sophisticated. It feels special.
And now, we've reached the top, the summit. This is the S tier. This is a masterclass in how it's done. We're going to look at two products that are the absolute best of the best. Let's start with the Game of Thrones phone. The unboxing experience alone is just unparalleled. You open the box and these house sigils pop out. There's a hidden scroll you can only read with a UV light. The SIM ejector tool is the hand of the king's pin. The phone itself feels like it's made of dragon hide. It turns opening a box into a story. And the depth of this thing is just incredible. The software didn't just have one theme. It had two completely different themes you could choose from, ice and fire.
We're talking unique icons, different animations, even themed camera filters for each one. It perfectly captured the central conflict of the show.
This, right here, is what S-tier looks like. Every single detail, from the hardware that physically changes color when it gets hot to those deep integrated software themes, it all serves the story of Game of Thrones. It's perfect.
Now, our other S-tier example isn't about a big movie or TV show. It's about its own history. The Razer Boomslang was the world's first gaming mouse back in 1999, a true legend. And for its anniversary, they remastered it for the modern era. And this isn't just nostalgia. Look at the difference. It's not a cosmetic update. It's a massive, quantifiable improvement in every single category. They kept the iconic shape that everyone loved, but they upgraded everything under the hood. It honors the legacy while being a top-tier modern product.
So after that whole journey from the absolute bottom of the barrel to the peak of the mountain, what have we learned? What are the key takeaways for both the fans buying this stuff and the brands making it?
You know, when you boil it all down, the DNA of a true S-tier collectible is this. It has to tell a story. It's about showing a genuine, authentic love for the source material and for the fans in every single detail, from the box to the software to the way it feels in your hand. So, we'll leave you with a question to chew on. If you could wave a magic wand and design your own S-tier limited edition of any product, what would it be? And what are those tiny, perfect details that would make it a true classic? Thanks for joining this explainer.